Hello everyone. So we have looked into what is vertical dimension at occlusion and what is vertical dimension at rest. And what is the difference between both of them? It's nothing but your freeway space. So now in this lecture, we'll be talking about methods to record both of this position. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ridhi Lalan, co-author of Prosthodontic Mind Map book, and we shall be discussing methods to record vertical dimension at rest. So it's very important to understand that both the positions are going to differ and there are going to be different measurement that we can use to record vertical jaw relation. So talking about the first thing, that is facial measurement. Now we know one thing, we discussed about it, right? Dividing the face into three halves. Starting from your hairline to the tip of your chin, you divide it into three parts that are equal. So the lower third has to be equal to the middle third, which has to be equal to your upper third. For that, you can use your vernier caliper in which A is equal to B is equal to C, because it needs to be at rest, right? So what you would be recording would be your VDR. And then you can ask patient to perform normal functional movements like wetting the lips, swallowing. So what is going to happen? At this part, the mandible is going to be into its postural position and it's going to actually take your rest position. And then you can measure the reference point because you have to make sure that your lower third becomes equal to your upper two. Then the other method is all dependent on your patient's relaxation. So patient should feel relaxed, right, when they are at rest. So you ask the patient to talk and then you ask them to open their mouth wide and then close slowly at a point when they feel total relaxation will be the point that is your vertical dimension at rest. But now this becomes very subjective. It depends on the tolerance level of your patient. It will depend on how accurate your patient is, and hence we do not rely on this method so much. Talking about the facial expression, now I know when I'm relaxed, everything appears to be normal. The skin around my eye is not stretched, neither does it have wrinkle. Same as about the mouth. See, or what I want to observe is that the skin should appear relaxed. It shouldn't be stretched. At the same time, neither should it have wrinkle. If it is stretched, it is more. If it has wrinkle, it is compressed. So both of these are not desirable. The nostrils, they should be at their position. They shouldn't flare up so much. Unobstructed breathing, because this needs to be at rest. Your lip also has to be at rest. And upper and lower lip should contact. You feel, oh, this is equal to this, but the patient has the lips parted apart. Is that desirable? No. Can the patient stay with lips always parted? No, right? So you have to observe that the lips come in contact. So what you see for your facial expression is the skin, the nostrils, and your upper and lower lip. So this acts like an adjuvant technique. It's just going to aid for anything else that you would be using. So one thing that we use the most is the speech method, because I know when I'm going to perform functions, especially speech, there are bilabial sound when both the lips are going to contact. What are these sounds? These is nothing but p, b, m. Did you actually observe my lip? Observe again. P, b, m. Both of them were touching, right? So you have to make sure that upper and lower lip just touch. Then there is something known as the second method, which will have words that are ending with M. So you can ask the patient to say Ram, Ma, right? It will just touch. So ask them to speak in an unexaggerated manner and observe. If this is just touching without any wrinkle or stretched appearance, it's good to go. And the distance needs to be marked immediately when the patient stops talking at the end of your syllable, correct? And this is how you actually evaluate phonetics. So phonetics is one of the method which is very important when we talk about vertical dimension. And I do have a detailed lecture on phonetics. Keep watching and go check it out in the playlist. Moving on to the next method. So we are going to now see the methods to record vertical dimension at occlusion. there is one thing which is known as Boo's power point. Can you see here? This is nothing but a pressure sensing gauge. So what is Boo's power point going to do? It is going to actually record the degree of jaw separation based on the biting force. And the maxillary record base will have your central bearing plate, and the mandibular record base will have pressure indicating dial. And this is where your Boo's power point will be attached, and this will be transferred and recorded. So the highest reading that is obtained will be the biting force. Once that is at occlusion, the biting force is going to be the highest, and this is known as the power point. You record this power point and you transfer it onto your occlusal rims. Moving on to the second method. So what we use routinely in our undergraduation, right? You establish your vertical dimension at rest by using n number of methods. Then you soften your rim using the blowtorch and you slowly ask the patient to close. Now, one trick that we knew was this freeway spaces between 2 to 4 mm. What you can do is, after you have known your VDR, you can just reduce it by 2 mm. It's good to go. What is this method also known as? Yes, we'll be discussing. Keep watching the video. Talking about the phonetics now. Now what I want is not at rest, okay? Not per more. But now I'll be recording Silverman's closest speaking space. According to him, when I pronounce words like ch, sir, j, there is minimal amount of space between your upper and lower teeth. There is air that just brushes. Try speaking sir. Can you imagine? Yes. So you will ask the patient to repeatedly speak words like Saraswati, Surat, suction. This will make sure that it is at complete occlusion with a minimum amount of gap. So that is your overbite that you are going to establish. Then talking about the aesthetics. Again, you notice your entire face. The vertical dimension, if too high, the cheek will appear stretched. The fold will be obliterated. Can you see a fold here? But what if it's too stretched? Correct? It's going to be obliterated. The lip fullness needs to be seen because it is going to determine your proclination of your anterior. So you see for the lip fullness, and if the flat lip appears, you know that the lip support is less. What you need to do? Don't worry, just add a layer of wax anteriorly. And at what surface? The labial surface. And it should be good to go. So now can you observe? There is minimum amount of separation. It's almost negligible. But this will make sure that it is pronounced correctly. Sir does not sound like sh. Sh does not sound like sir, and vice versa. Ch. I hope you're able to appreciate. Talking about the swallowing threshold now. So it is nothing. It is when your teeth are just about to begin to touch. So what you do is you take soft wax, okay, and you put it onto your mandibular rim. So your maxillary rim has the modeling wax, but the mandibular rim has lesser wax and it has conical soft wax that is placed. So this soft wax has the potential of decreasing in height when the pressure is applied. So what you do, you just ask the patient to swallow. And when the patient is going to swallow, it's going to stimulate your salivation. And with that, there is going to be pressure that would be applied onto this cone. And imagine your mouth closes here. It is just going to seal. And it is the patient's own force that has generated this vertical dimension. So it can be relied upon. Then there would be sense of tactile sensation and comfort. Again, this is very subjective. So if you are thinking to go with this thing, you need to use it as one of the additional method and not the core method to record. Coming on to the most frequently used and what we love, Niswanger's method. What does Niswanger method do? Nothing. It is going to identify the rest position first. Now you know this was the measurement. let's say your rest position was at 62 mm. So you have 2 points placed, one at the tip of your nose, one at the base of your chin. You measure it because you have already identified your rest position. Now you just ask the patient to swallow and relax. Maybe use your phonetics to set the position. So which phonetics would you use? The Silverman's closest speaking space or the bilabial sound? Correct, you use the bilabial sound. Once you have BDR, you just know this is 62. So now 3 mm less, that is 59 mm. You keep the vernier caliper and you ask the patient to get it to 59 and stop it there. And you have your vertical dimension at occlusion set. Moving on to the last thing. So there can be other methods which is known as pre-extraction. It performs amazing if you have your pre-extraction record because patient's own records are going to act like your vertical dimension. If you know something from first, if you know the lower height is 60 mm, isn't it great? So this can be using various multiple things. As you can see, if you have previous denture, now let me tell you one thing, it shouldn't be untreated. The reason for making the new denture should be anything else apart from adhesion of teeth that has happened. So if you have your vertical dimension that is correct, you can directly use Bowley's gauge, measure the distance and transfer it to your new casts. And then you can also use articulated cast. Dentulous patient before extraction had few teeth that were actually giving you the vertical stop. Now this vertical stop can be used to actually determine the vertical dimension. It is nothing. You articulate your dentulous cast, keep it as it is and use those measurements for your new vertical dimension establishment. After articulated cast, you can also use your profile photographs. So these photographs were taken at the time patient had their teeth because it's pre-extraction, correct? So you just have a side face and you have the line from ala to tragus and a line from your chin and you can measure that. Then there can be profile silhouettes. Now I know my rest position has how much? 2 to 4 mm more than your vertical dimension at occlusion. So you do nothing, simply record those positions, have the profile silhouettes and just reduce the measurement by 2 to 4 mm. Radiography here plays a very important role and at that point I would say cephalometry. It is the side face, correct? But there are various points that can be used, various anatomical landmarks that will help us to again establish the same vertical dimension. Then you can also use facial measurements. So we have been talking about your various methods wherein we had used points on your facial measurement and vertical dimension can be recorded at occlusion and transferred to your articulator. Now one thing that we talk about is ridge relation. This is not something related to your pre-extraction record. It is for your post-extraction record, but we are using anatomical landmarks. So if you see, there needs to be two things, okay? We have one landmark that is stable for entire lifetime. Can you guess what is it? Yes, it is nothing but your incisive papilla. And then you can actually determine the position of your incisal edge from your incisive papilla, which will be 6 mm. The vertical overlap, what is also known as your overbite, is 2 mm. And the distance between your incisive papilla to your mandibular incisor is approximately 4 mm. So this was tested and noticed over various patients and they have come up with an average value of 4 mm. Then when we talk about parallelism, I know that when your upper and lower teeth are extracted almost during the same time, what is going to happen? They are going to appear parallel. But if at all there was lots of time span that had happened between both. So what I mean is between actually extracting. Now there can be trauma, there can be periodontal reasons, n number of things. And if there was more than 6 months of span between extraction, there will not be parallelism because the rate of resorption is going to differ. It is greatest in the first 6 months. You remember the first lecture, right? If not, go visit the first lecture. So what I want to make you understand is that the mandible needs to be adjusted parallel to maxilla, and there can be discrepancy of 0 to 5 degrees only. And this is only applicable when the extraction has happened nearby. So this was all about your vertical dimension and the methods of recording. You can expect a very long answer. And if you actually want to have this book in your hand, use this code that is written here and you will get a special discount because you made it to the end of the video. Let's quickly go on to the MCQs and the flashcard. So the MCQ says, which of the following method for recording vertical dimension is considered to be most physiologic? Is it pre-extraction? Is it swallowing, Willis gauge, or measurement of facial profile? It is nothing but your swallowing threshold because it is physiologic, because it is performed by your patient. We don't have any tentative landmarks, nothing. It is completely based on a physiological position, which is swallowing and closing of mouth. So if you are able to answer this thing, amazing, you're doing great. Let's just quickly look into the next thing. Why is Silverman's closest speaking space considered a dynamic method for verifying vertical dimension at occlusion? Why do you think? Because it's going to be the minimal interocclusal distance during function. What is the function here? It is nothing but speaking. So again, it is a physiologic position. At the same time, functional position, ensuring that there is normal speech without tooth contact. Can you see? Very minimal distance between your upper and lower incisor from which the air is going to pass, and actually sounds like ch, sir and sh are going to be spoken without any obliteration of any landmark. So this was about your vertical jaw relation. I hope it was easy for you to understand, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I want to tell you one very amazing feature that we have on the app. You can actually create your own flashcards, review them and solve them. Isn't this great? So what you can do is, after you have referred to the mind map, you can create your own flashcards. You can test your own self. Isn't it great? So keep following. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.